Hello and Happy New Year and Happy New Season of Local Image to you. If you watched the December show, then you know we have some changes we're undergoing as we said goodbye to producer, shooter, editor Scott Jensen, and now say hello to our new guy, Jeffrey Wilson. While Jeffrey gets settled in his new position with us, we'd like to bring you our traditional look back at some of our favorite segments from 2014, and there were many. Our first grouping includes a mix of man and his love of nature in the forms of plants, animals, and insects. Take a look and see what I mean.
I started going down to the St. Paul Farmers Market with my parents in 1956, and anyhow, I've sold to some people over 50 years.
When we bought the place, we had one little greenhouse on here, and then we just kept adding greenhouses and adding greenhouses, and this is where it got us. We have people every year that say, "Never knew you were here, never knew you were here." So I think a lot of people still don't know that we're here. But obviously, I mean, we've been here a long time, and a lot of people do know us. I think it's important to get your stuff from people that are knowledgeable, that actually, I mean, people that grow it, they know, and they can give you valuable information.
My friends at Walmart, for instance, and a lot of other places, they're growing maybe 1,000 miles south of here. You get them up on a harsh spring day in Minnesota, they just wilt, and they look nice when they get off the truck and it's downhill for a while. They'll eventually be okay, but these, as you can see here, how we open the greenhouse up and so forth, they get what growers call hardening off, and if you can get the plants hardened off, ours are gonna just be that much ahead. I've literally worked every day of my life since I've been 9 years old on this farming, so I can give you a 50-some years experience on how to grow something.
When you go to the markets or at home here, when you have good days, I mean, that's nice. That's fun. People are coming, the weather's nice, everything's favorable. You know, the stuff is going out, you know, you kind of like to see it get a new home, you know, so.
These are kind of my little babies, you know, and I actually get a little down when it's done for a while. Then I'm okay, you know, then I'm okay. But it's, to see these grow from, everything was small, and to see, you know, how nice I think they look, and that's the satisfaction.
My pal. Wherever I go, he follows me. If I go to the back of the yard, he comes with me. If I come back on here, he comes in. My buddy. That's my little boy. My little pal. He likes to be around me. He just has to be around me. And I've had him for about 5 years now. For the first 2.5 years, he was friendly. He'd land on your hand and everything, but he didn't care if I was there or not. But at about 2.5 years, one day he just looked me in the face and he stared at me for a minute or two. And ever since, he's been my closest buddy. We go everywhere together. So when we go in the car, he just gets all excited and looking at everything. He rides on the dashboard. When I park the car and I go in a store, he'll walk over on top of the speedometer on my side and fall asleep. Then when I come back, I click the remote, and he jumps up because he hears it, and then he walks back to his side, and I come in the car and we go. I call him my remote control pigeon. I can make him move.
Recently, Simon, the remote control pigeon,
that's for you,
and Shadow, the rabbit soft chicken, took a road trip to the Oakdale Nature Center, where Les shared a chicken keeping class.
Anybody have chickens?
With some other birds of a feather,
A couple friends
who came together.
Well, like I say, I mostly have mine as for pets, and they are my RLOs. That's roving lawn ornaments. Because we go out in the yard and the chickens are just, you know, mingling with us and doing their thing, and I think they're pretty. I like them. Are you all from Oakdale, or? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, you have to have a permit. And Oakdale is very generous with their permit procedure. You pretty much just go in and ask.
The class was an idea Les hatched not that long ago, and the city of Oakdale approved, considering that chicken keeping in the suburbs is on the rise.
And they have no restrictions against roosters. It's pretty loose. I expect them to tighten it a little bit as more people get chickens, but that's pretty good.
And Les would know if the city is sitting on good ordinances or not because he has helped create them.
I'm with the Oakdale Planning Commission, and I spent about 7 years chairman of the ordinance committee. The city probably would rather not have anybody raise chickens. I mean, it's not in their favor, you know. But they're very accommodating and understanding, so cities do it, reluctantly in many cases, but they do it.
So last fall, we went to the Arboretum out in Chanhassen and took a class from Marla Spivak, who's a professor at the University of Minnesota. We went in there thinking there might be 20 or 30 people here. There was hundreds.
400, I think. It was sold out.
It was this huge auditorium was plump full. Just learning about something that is amazing. I mean, these creatures, one of these hives to make 2.5 pounds of honey have to fly the equivalent of 3 times around the earth, 90,000 miles. I mean, they are that busy doing their thing.
What a precious gold. And that honey is the purest food that we have. It will never turn rancid. It can sit on a shelf forever.
They can do things in ways that are just unbelievable. They've got 6 legs. They've got eyes all over the place. They can smell. They've got like 170 some receptacles for the smell. Their GPS is just incredible. I mean, how they find home every night. If we moved one of those hives 4 feet in one direction or another, they wouldn't get home. They're that hardwired to find that.
We really want to do it right, and we're such rookies that it's a little, we don't want to hurt our bees. They say most people get into trouble because they overmanage the bees, and if you just let the bees do their thing, they're really, really smart. So we literally have checked them about once a week, maybe a little more frequent, either just making sure they're okay, adding more containers above them to make sure they have enough room.
That's been one of our big learnings this year. Because oftentimes we'll open them up and say, okay, so I think it looks good, but we're not sure. So a lot of times we'll kind of look at the books before we come down and figure out, all right, what are we looking for? What are we trying to accomplish? And earlier this year we came down and it was clear even to us rookies that something was wrong with the second hive. And over the 4th of July week, roughly, we found out after the fact that one of the hives had swarmed. And what that means is that we didn't give them enough room to expand. They were growing fast and we didn't have a big enough house for them. And so a new queen bee came on the scene and marked several of the bees saying, you're coming with me. And they didn't leave another queen bee behind. So we had to take some from the other healthy hive and put in there to recover them. And up until about a week or two ago, we didn't even know if that worked because it takes a few weeks to know if these are old bees or new bees. And it's clear now that the second hive has survived, which is pretty neat.
We always enjoy featuring the people and events that aim to make a difference in the lives of others. And here's a couple of our favorites from 2014.
It's music with a purpose, and what we all do, what you guys do, it changes lives. Get involved, help out, donate, because we've been all over this country and all over the world now, to fight the fight for cystic fibrosis. And I can tell you, donations, it matters. The money that comes in, it matters. What people do matters, they're so close to the science behind a cure, and we believe it's going to happen, and we want to do our part to help.
Thank you for carrying on the great work that you're doing on behalf of the organization and being here tonight. Oh my gosh, you guys did a great job. Everybody loved your performance.
Oh, we had a great time, and thank everybody that came out tonight and helped, and thank y'all for watching this great show, and thank you.
I am 36 years old, living in the with cystic fibrosis, I just look at it as live each day as if it were your last.
All the fundings and all the research that goes towards CF, I know I would not be here today.
Some of our viewers may recall, because we shot some footage of you a couple years ago on the stage, and you had the oxygen tank strapped on. You don't anymore. Tell us why.
I sure did, and that tank was not light to carry around, and I carried it around 24/7, but I no longer need that tank because fortunately, 1 year ago on August 27th, this year, August 27th, was 1 year that I received a double lung transplant.
Wow. And look at you.
It's incredible. I have a whole new life. I've been so blessed to have the second chance at life.
Do you have any idea for our viewers, like how many people are afflicted with CF today?
There are about 30,000 Americans, about 70,000 worldwide, that are affected with CF. And because of that small number, we don't get funding through government and all that stuff. So events like this are really what raise the money to help the research that are going to help all of us with cystic fibrosis.
First of all, we help develop safety plans, and then we really work with people about all of their options, that full range of choices, and find them the resources, whether here at Tubman or connecting with other resources in the community. We also provide all kinds of legal help, then lots of mental and chemical health support and treatment, and then the elder abuse prevention, and all kinds of community education. Things like helping people get on their feet with financial literacy, career readiness kinds of things, even a clothing closet here called Harriet's Closet. We also work with men and women who have been abusive or who are feeling as though they may become abusive. Sometimes they're court-ordered and sometimes it's a choice, but we know that violence is a learned behavior and that it can be unlearned.
Oftentimes my first contact with clients, they are scared, they may be frustrated, they maybe have gone through this process before, this may be the 8th criminal case they've had. They feel like they have no options. And really to let them know that they do have options, that they have support, that they can call anytime and talk through things, and that there are services for them. When I'm first meeting with a client, I really want to get across that there is no judgment, that we all make the best decisions we can with the information we have at the time. So when they're meeting with us, that there's not going to be any judgment about past decisions they've made, that really they are wanting the best for their families, and that's what I'm here for. And I'm here to advocate for their wishes, not what I think is best for their family, but what's really best for them and their family and children on their time schedule. And really that they deserve a life without abuse, and that it's not their fault that they are experiencing verbal, physical, emotional abuse.
It's true, we're in the dead of winter right now, but that doesn't stop us from facing Mother Nature head on and showing her how to have fun. Take a look at these frosty stories from early last year.
This was happening in the community and we really wanted to be part of it. Everybody feels it looks a little awkward doing it, but everybody's really curious about it too because it seems like a very kind of Minnesotan thing. If you look from the back of it, the curve is supposed to look like a snowdrift, and it kind of vanishes from one side. The other side, we wanted to bring in some warmer material, so we have some old pine fence board that we used. Some people seem to have a knack for it and will kind of stick with it for a while. Some people will maybe try and fall the first time and decide like they've done it and they're gonna move on.
Hi, this is the Puzzle Shanty. Every wall is a jigsaw puzzle. Every day, people on the inside paint one of the walls. The next day, we take that wall out and put it down in the ice, and people put it together and play with it. So every day, people are playing with the puzzle that people painted the day before. We also have some Sudoku and some crosswords and stuff that people are doing. I mean, puzzles are just fun. That's my wife and I, Taya, we love jigsaw puzzles, and so I just came up with this idea of making giant 8-foot by 8-foot jigsaw puzzles, and it's just kind of infectious. People walk by and they see a half-completed puzzle, and they just got to pick up a piece and start putting it together.
1, 2, 3, pedal!
Holy buckets!
The machine underneath was welded by a group of welders, Matt Carlisle being one of the super geniuses that made this incredible machine that 10 people sit on and pedal. One person steers. It's on a VW chassis. It has first gear, second gear, third gear, fourth gear, and reverse. It's all pedal power and people power. So the machine underneath was welded, and then a group of puppeteers and sculptors welded the bear onto the top. People that just volunteered their time to create something epic, to really kind of thrill people here at White Bear Lake. Anyone who comes out, you can see it, you can jump on board, you can pedal it, you can be a part of it.
Now, let's warm back up with some fun and interesting folks we came across doing what they love to do for work and play.
I grew up in California surfing and skateboarding. As a kid, I skateboarded all the time. And, you know, family brought me here, 2,000 miles away from the ocean. I can't surf, obviously, and I've tried water skiing, things like that. It's just not the same. But these longer boards are pretty similar to carving a wave. If you have enough speed and can go, it kind of simulates that, and I like that. So it's my way to reconnect, I guess. We're in my garage in White Bear Lake, Minnesota, and this is my shop, I call it. I like to tinker around and play with things. Made my motorized bicycle over there in the corner and putz around, and I make skateboards most of the time. They've kind of evolved. Like my first one I ever made was pretty short. Then I slowly started making them a little bit longer. It's pretty cool. You can make them almost 6.5 feet long, and they still work. So it's kind of just pushing the edge of the envelope, you know. The smaller boards that most kids ride are street boards. They're designed for jumping and you know, flipping the board around and for riding on ramps. And certainly years ago I did all that, rode in pools and ramps and all that. But as you get older, you can't handle the falls and stuff. So the longer boards are just, it's like standing on a sidewalk. It's just easier. They don't turn as fast. They're, you know, you gotta kind of look ahead at where you're going. They're carving boards, and they're good for flat terrain. They're okay for some hills, but they're not like a speed downhill board. You know, they're kind of.
I wanted to go somewhere special. I wanted it to be where I felt like the community would get behind me. It was like my people. And we had spent so much time designing this business, sitting at Manitou, drinking beer, and then forgetting what we did, and then the next day starting over. So we had spent a lot of time doing that in this town, and we fell in love with it.
White Bear Lake's just a quaint little town with not a lot of chain restaurants, which is awesome. You can come here and eat at one of the great restaurants that we have here in this town. So we wanted to fit into that, and we wanted to kind of be a part of that culture. So we found this building, built in 1906, And so that had a bunch of challenges with it. We had to order everything custom. Everything was custom manufactured for this space. That took extra time, but we're happy with it. It turned out really good, and we hope that people will be impressed with the amount of thought and everything that went into it, as well as the beers.
This is where the true magic happens. It's a real fun process. You know, it's you just got to be right on. This beer turns out to be fantastic, which I think it might. It has a chance. I'm going to give it a chance. The next time I go to brew it, the more notes I take and the more specific and precise I can be, the easier it is for me to be able to duplicate it.
And we saved the most important for last. Important to us personally and to many others who also followed the story of our coworker, Ray Widstrand. Ray faced a life and death situation and miraculously survived to tell his story of recovery, hope, and forgiveness. We'd like to share a couple segments from his two-part interview with you right now.
And it was a nice night. It was August 4th.
Yeah.
So I thought I'd go for a walk. I heard someone cry out, and there were two girls. I couldn't tell, but they were fighting.
Yeah.
And I basically stopped and helped them to their feet. A lot of my memory after that is kind of hazy.
But you do remember that part of it.
That part of it.
Okay. And did you remember seeing a bunch of people? Because apparently there was a whole group of people. Do you remember seeing people there?
Apparently there was a crowd. No one I recognized or knew, and I don't think they were right there congregated. But apparently I was struck on the back of the head and lost consciousness, and I was assaulted by several gang members. Yeah, so, and I don't remember regaining consciousness until much later.
Right.
I was put into a medically induced coma, and given a craniotomy.
And for people who don't know what that means, what does that mean?
About a third of my skull was taken off to help with your brain swells when it's injured like that. And it was to prevent the skull from, pushing up against the brain. So they take it off. A few months later, they tried to reattach the skull. Unfortunately, it got infected during the surgery, so they had to take it back out. And then finally, in April of this past year, they attached a piece of medical grade plastic, and that was my final surgery.
Do you remember when you first started to realize what had happened to you based on what people were saying?
I don't remember it, but apparently several of my family members remember me regaining consciousness and talking to them and asking about what happened. Why am I here? When I was in the hospital, I woke up with tubes in my arms and stomach and head. And
do you remember how that made you feel the first time you?
Well, I was, I figured I'd probably been in an accident of some sort, but I didn't know what.
Right.
The doctors said, you've had a craniotomy, you've been in a medically induced coma for a couple of weeks. It's what they call a PEG tube in your stomach. You have a breathing tube in your throat. You have IVs in your arm administering drugs. I said, shit, I thought you said I was hurt.
Oh, man.
Slowly my faculties have been coming back. When I first was hospitalized, I couldn't walk, I could barely speak, and my memory was non-existent. As the months have progressed, I've healed enough to be walking on my own, talking on my own. I don't know what I can say. Thank you to all of my therapists. Thank you to all of the nurses who assisted me
Right.
while I was recovering. Looking forward to working again. It would just be nice to, get out of the house and get back to work in some fashion.
Right. Take us into a little bit maybe of your thought process on kind of looking back on what has happened and where you're going,
It seems so random, but it also does seem like there should be a point. Again, the kind of why me question is something that inevitably crosses your mind. I'm not sure there is a reason or a higher purpose or anything. I mean, I'm trying my best to deal with it and stay positive and heal and get back to life, but I have no answer as of yet. Again, I have just tried to stay positive and not stop being the good person I was. I hate to say this, but part of me would still help those girls if I was back there again, because I'm the same person. I know I would still help them, even knowing what it has cost. So in a way, I haven't learned anything, but in another way, I haven't let it change me too much.
I'm so pleased to tell you that Ray is back working with us on a part-time basis and is once again a member of our team, and we couldn't be happier about that. We hope to share an update with Ray in a future Local Image show. The complete versions of these segments can be found on our OLTV19 YouTube channel and online at onlocationtv.org. Meanwhile, we'll be back in February with an all-new show and my new co-worker too. So until then, I'm Judy Skye Voss, and I do thank you for watching Local Image. Interviewed for a photographer. I knew that was going to trip me up. Go back. Here we go. I love you. Okay, ready? Anytime? Okay. Can I do that one more time? It was a lot. It was a lot for me to read. Still rolling. Here we go. Energy. Energy. E-E-N-G, however you spell it. Ready?
Good.
I just want to look quick. Oh, okay. Well, that's where you'll pick it up. But you want to do it again in your timing? As the bravest of the brave. It's all right. I'll get it this time. You don't have to. Ready? Okay. We'll also take you to the Iron Mine. Okay, I'll pick it up right there. We'll also take you to the Iron Mine. We'll also take Iron Mine. Okay. And get ready for Manitou Days in White Bear Lake this month, complete with even more new events for all events. Let me just start over. I'm struggling. White Bear Lake High School witnessed during a mock car crash. The accomplishments of those graduating. You to continue to celebrate with us in the months ahead. And until next month. Okay, ready? Okay.